Hello, people joining me today. Hello to the people from Stockholm. How you doing, Luna? Good to see you. Hi. For people who are watching the recording, my name is Mark Mandel. I work for Google Cloud. I have a cup of tea. It's very important. And we're playing today. Good to see you. Yes, you're good too. Excellent. Excellent. Today we're gonna have some fun. So earlier this week, because things are quiet and nice, I get to play with things. We've been playing with Envoy. Where are we? Let's bring that up because that's a fancy image. Why don't we bring that up? Envoy is a fancy proxy, basically, that does a whole bunch of fancy things. Here we go. Let's pop over to here. So here we go. So here's Envoy is a open source edge and service proxy. Last time earlier this week, we mucked around with this and actually set up this configuration over here on the left. This is my left, where we were playing with the new daily UDP functionality, just trying to get a static route set up so we could run information from one place to another. Luna, glad that you're enjoying streaming on EU time. I usually, sometimes I stream in the morning, sometimes I stream in the afternoon. Depends on what I'm doing. Oh man, cup of tea is fantastic. So why don't we do a little short recap of what we did previously, just so everyone can see where we're at. I'm just gonna get rid of all that stuff. All right, cool. And what's going on? So I'm not going to go too deep into this, but basically this is a static configuration file that tells Envoy to take UDP traffic coming in on port 7650 and basically reroutes it right now to port 7654 right now to basically localhost. We have this thing called a load balancer. Here you have a cluster, that's your downstream where your stuff's going to, if I remember upstream and downstream right. I can never remember if I do, but basically where we want our traffic to go to, and we only have one endpoint, so it can only go to one particular place. So yes, we're round robining, but we're only round robining to one spot. And so we can run this and see if it's working. So actually, let's Docker run. Yeah. So what I did was I actually took a UDP ecosystem, which I have here for Agones. Fired that up. There it is on port 7654, and then if we nc-u 27, this is a 7654, I think is the right one. Yeah. So we can if we ping that locally, we get an echo, comes back. Awesome. If we come over here, right, we can see test come through. But now if we go 7650, which is the Envoy port, and it'll be good if we ran Envoy, so let's do that. Let's fire that up. Right now, if we do that and we say Envoy, right, it goes through Envoy and bounces back. We can see that coming through as well. See, packet received, beautiful, right? Envoy comes through and we can do that. So that's awesome, right? And it's very basic. In what I don't know if basic is the right word. Maybe that's not the right word. What Envoy does out of the box for UDP is alpha. Let's put it that way, right? They first started on it. And at first pass, I'm not sure how well it's going to work for game servers. So I want to start exploring this more and see what configurational options there are. And we may end up going down the path where it's like, how do we extend this or potentially get more involved with Envoy so that we can add some of the functionality we need based on the sort of proxy stuff. Hopefully that sounds like fun. Yeah, actually, we'll shut this down. We don't need this. So actually, the first thing I was actually thinking was, for first thing, which was... okay, so this worked for a very simple little echo script, right? But let's play a real game with it and see if it impacts the traffic at all, or if there's any issues, we notice any latency differences, or if there's some metrics that we can possibly pull up as well. So, whatchamacallit? So, I have Synotic installed, if people have seen that before. It is a... Where are we? Synotic. Boom. Let's pop that up. Synotic's an open source for FPS. If anyone's seen me present, it's like literally, what was I going to say? Like, I've never actually seen that in the game. Where's it good? So it's like an FPS. It's basically like a capture the base and like deathmatch, etc., etc. If anyone's seen me present, I use this all the time as my demo because it has a dedicated game server. So what I want to do is set up a dedicated game server. In fact, actually, I don't need this here. Let's pop that up. Okay. So what we need to do is I'm going to set up a dedicated game server, connect to it locally, make sure it works, and then I'm going to set up Envoy to proxy traffic to it, and then we'll connect to it that way. Sound cool? In theory, it should be fine, but I want to see it, and I also want to see if Sonotic will pull up. Actually, I should have checked that now I think about it. Send that to 5. Sonotic packet statistics. Is there a way for us to send stats? Sonstat player statistics for Sonotic. Oh, interesting. Not something I care about now. What I'd love to see is if it pulls up any particular stats that I can grab from somewhere where I can actually see if there's some kind of packet sort of visualization or visualization. There you go. No. Okay, that's fine. We'll play. I have a feeling if we bring down the console, maybe we can see some stuff. That would be nice. Okay, so I've done this before, but I don't remember how. There's some things you need to do. You need to copy. All right, contain scripts in a config file. All right, so let's actually go xcg open dot. Cool. All right, so here. This subdirectory contains scripts in a config file that can be used to start a dedicated game server. Awesome. You need to copy the right server script over. Well, I'm on Linux, so that's easy. You copy the right server in this. Copy the provided server.config to the user's game directory. My dog's up. I can hear her. Oh no, she's got her bone. She's chewing. Good. All right. Provided server config to the user's game directory. All right. So I have one of those already set up. Allows players to connect. It's normally 2600. Cool. All right. So that's actually should be pretty straightforward. Scripts. Copy the right server script for your system into the Sonotic main directory. The normal binaries are. Okay. So I should probably just copy that into here. That seems easy. And then where are we? Squiggle Sonotic data. It needs to go in here. And what's the server.config? Okay, I have one of these, so I'm actually going to steal it from Gonez. GitHub.com/ what is that? Google for Games. Yep, I can't spell. Anyway, that's all right. So I'm going to steal one of these because it's going to make life a lot easier. Because I had to tweak some stuff. Where are we? Sonotic, beautiful. Server config. And actually, if I look here, which is like the setup scripts I have from memory. Blah, 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 blah. Download. I move make recipe, Sonotic data. I move server Linux into there, and I copy server config into server there. Okay, cool. Yeah, literally like what we were talking about. Cool, server config. I don't even know what I changed in here. Just a bunch of stuff. I think I just have 4 bots, and they have some stuff in the front of them. Let's go roll. Save. Let's cd squiggle dot Sonotic data. I'll just grab. Ugh, it never pastes very well. There we go. Sweet. All right, so that looks like it should be good. All right, so let's. That looks like it should be fine. Sweet. Let's pop 2 of these. Where are we? There's a server Linux. So let's run server Linux. This will be fun. So I'm going to run both my streaming software and the dedicated game server and the Sonotic client all in this machine. It'll be fine, right? It'll be totally fine. Okay, cool. That works. All right, so we're hooked up to ourselves. Excellent. Let's run this. Let's see how big it is. Oh, what? Why? Are you telling me that I can't run the dedicated game server plus the thing at the same time? Sonic lock could not be required. What? Session ID foo? I have no idea. Oh, apparently that works. Okay, cool. Oh my god. Let's turn that off. Alright, turn that off so we can actually hear ourselves think. That's better. Okay, so that was fun. All right, so 0.0.0.0, where are we? 0 to 0, 2600, 26,000. 1, 2, 3. This is not the biggest window in the world, so maybe let's make it a little bit bigger, actually. Video. Definitely don't want it that big. 124 by 600. How big's that? Nope, that's tiny. What? That did not help. Can go a little bigger than that. None of this is really useful. I just want it to be readable. Do that. That's a bit better. Okay, not the best, but still not the worst. Okay. Yeah, let's try that again. 2600 join. Okay, let's do list 127.0.0.1. 2600 join. Wait. Oh no, there it goes. There it goes. Okay. That's better. Okay, so we can connect. Might take a little bit. I'm wondering just if my... I know the black screen is actually a good thing because I've run Sonotic a million times. So it's probably just taking a little bit. Yeah, there it goes. See, it's all going. And it's probably just... Yeah, it's going to be super sketchy. Probably because I'm running so many things at once. But... Oh, wow, I really can't read that. That's not useful. I want to be able to see if there's anything in here that is really not useful. All right, well, I'm just happy to let that run in the background. No, I don't want full screen, really. Nope, that's where we're at now. Can I just make the font size even bigger? So this is just running locally. I'm not connecting this to Envoy right now. Oh, here we go. Font UI size. Let's go large. That's really what we want. Oh, make it big. Just futzing with things at this point. That did nothing. Okay. Wow, if anything, actually, that just made it worse. If I just go full screen, is that just going to be easier? I think it's just going to be easier. Yeah, that's just a million times easier. All right, so we're back in this game. That's fine. I'm happy for this to just respawn. What I want here... Oh, I can't... Oh, it's like... Oh, it's way too big. Ah! No. We need to go to... Not full screen. What if I just do that? That's better? Oh, now it's going to go in a... Here, I will send that to another window. Okay, there we go. There we go. All right, that's better. That's better. Yeah, just watch me futz with stuff. There we go. Okay. Let me help. There we go. Okay, so debug model. Don't care about that. Commands regarding controlling the HUD system. Maybe. Synvar, weapon find. Don't care about that. Dump commands. Client network commands. Nope. I just want to see, like, how many packets are going up and down. Just I want to have like a baseline is basically what I'm doing. Common network commands. Print list of all change server. Info, mat list, team status. Yeah, is there like a HUD? Usage. Commands here. Configure quick menu minigame. Oops. So it should be HUD. That didn't help. Oh wow. Come on, Snotic. Snotic show packet statistics. Come on, it's gotta be a way of doing it. Commands? That could be useful. Here we go. So what I would like to see is like how many packets are going through. Commands my server continue plan. Here we go. Now let's see what that does. No. What was it? What was it saying I can do? Pings. Command. Ping PL report. Ping PL report. Nope. None of this is useful. Wow, this is really like it's not. This is not useful. All right, I was kind of hoping that we'd be able to see. I figured it would have something that would show us some stuff, because normally most games do. Yeah, I could do socket statistics. I don't know. I kind of just wanted to see it from inside a game. I thought it'd be kind of better. But if I can't do it, I can't do it. I'm not going to futz with this. HUD or network HUD. Meh. No. Snotic commands list, something like that. Yeah, this is not useful either. Okay, I'm not going to futz with this too much. Okay, so in which case, okay, all right. So I think the takeaway here is that at least it works. It's a little sketchy, as you can see, which is not surprising given how many things are just running on my computer right now. I think that's more an effect of me running streaming software plus the dedicated game server plus the client on my machine, and it's not like the beefiest of laptops. But it's playable, so it's not like it's a little sketchy, but it works. Okay, so all right, so we're gonna quit this for 2 seconds. Yeah, let's quit this for 2 seconds. Bam, just die. All right, so I get some CPU back. Okay, so what I'm going to do next is, all right, so we're just going to run that again. It's on 2600. So here, let's have a look here. So we've got 26, 1, 2, 3. We can leave this at 7650. So let's fire up Envoy and we'll point Snotic at it and we'll see if it still works. I'm actually kind of curious. I have no idea. In theory, it should be fine because it's completely it's a non-transparent proxy, so you can't see through it. If I make it sense, if I remember my terminology right. So so incoming, it's the listener at 7650, and then it's going to 2600. So let's go here. Docker run network host. Boom. So that's there. We can actually even check that. Localhost. Was it 9901? Yep, beautiful. No? What's the admin port? 9901. There's my dog having a drink of water in the background. Excellent. Let's just have a quick. I always like to check these things just to make sure everything is actually connected the way it should be. All right, sweet. That all looks really good. All right, so let's fire up Snotic again. Apparently, full screen is the answer. And that was, oh man, 127.0.0.1. what was it? 7650. 76. Whoops. Man. 127. I took the thing and it put it in the wrong spot. Here. 127.0.0.1.7650. Okay. Here goes nothing. And it's working. Alright, so we have the UDP traffic being sent through, which is cool. Should we go here? Actually, we won't see anything in the logs because I haven't got anything set to debug. But that is going through Envoy. So that is quite cool. Actually, for whatever reason, seems to be playing better. Like, it seems smoother as a play experience, which I don't understand because we're running more things. Maybe it's just a different map. Maybe it's that. Maybe there's just less stuff going on in this particular map. So here we go. As I get around more people, we're sending more packets and stuff. Here we go. Boom. But this is okay. So it's playing through Envoy. It's working. That's a nice start. Okay, so I was kind of hoping to have some statistics so we could see packet loss and stuff like that. See if there's any perceptible differences in terms of like even though I'm running it all on the same machine. But honestly, like as far as gameplay goes, like I'm not seeing any particular difference. This is a slightly different map from before. It's still a little sketchy, but actually it's a little less sketchy than it was on the previous map. So I don't know what the deal is with that, which is kind of interesting if nothing else. So I doubt Envoy is doing anything particular, but actually, yeah, it's working pretty fine. Yeah, you can see a little glitch here and there, but it was doing that before. In fact, it was doing it worse before on the other maps. So you know, no complaints. All right, so that seems all right. So cool. So first test, right? Like that's working, which is actually really cool. I actually was wondering if that was going to be. Let's see. Let's kill kill the Sonic game server. All right, sweet. So I was hoping for some more stats, but you know what? Sometimes you don't get what you want, so it's just fine too. Okay, so so there's a bunch of cool stuff inside Envoy that I realized doesn't apply to UDP at all. That I got really excited about and no longer doesn't exist. Things I was looking at. So we do have a rate limiting network filter. I would love to see an example of. See, these are all TCP rate. So there are like 3 big things that I really want to see in here. One is rate limiting. One is being able to reroute based on packet inspection, packet content, some kind of token that points to particular places in the cluster. And the other thing I really, really want, which I think is super cool, and I just want to, is it the HTTP inspector? No, it's not that one. It's not listener filters. Network filters. This is cool. I really like this. This is not in filters. Then it's in HTTP. There we go. Nope. Man, I swear this thing is not the easiest to like navigate. Network filters? No, it's listener filters. No, it's. Oh my god, why is this so hard? I found this the other day. Operations? No. 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 Extending Envoy for custom use cases. HTTP filters. Wow, this is not. There's. Oh, why? Configuration reference. Here we go. That's the thing I want. Lua. Being able to do packet inspection and stuff. Yeah. Yeah, it's Lua. Exactly, right? This is super cool. I really like this. I want to be able to do Lua stuff on UDP packets. Those are like the 3 things I really want. Like rate limiting. We have to have some kind of routing based on packet inspection by some kind of token registration system. I don't know any other way that we could do that, but it doesn't seem to exist right now. So there was one thing I did want to look at here, which was like this load balance policy to see if there was something we could do here. I don't know if there is. So the only other thought that I had is like, this is a static config for Envoy. You can configure it as well using their gRPC and REST APIs, so it's can be completely dynamic and powered by other things. So we could, in theory, have a individual port for each game server we want to connect to, but like that's yeah, like that's what you just said, Luna. Could we do routing based on source and IP and port? And I feel like that just kind of defeats the purpose. I mean, we could, right? Like we could have an individual port per game server, and it just routes it to an individual game server, and like you could. And so like an individual, you would set up a cluster per game server, so you have each individual cluster. And the cool thing is Envoy does have an API where it's not just like, here, set the whole config in one go. You can do Delta commands as well. Oh, you're saying like, could you do based on source and IP and port? So the way, oh, you mean like it would just look at the where it's coming from and say, hey, this is where it should go. All sending to the same destination IP port. Then you'd have a secondary router, so it just comes in through Envoy, and then like how many proxies are you gonna have? Unless I'm misunderstanding what you're saying. Yeah, I just want everything to be done in Envoy. Like why? Like what's the point of putting Envoy in front then? Do you know what I mean? Like this just becomes a forwarding service. I might as well just write my own custom router and stick it in front. If I'm understanding you correctly, anyway. Yeah, I don't. Yeah, I'm like I just want I want Envoy to do all the stuff that I want it to do. otherwise I'm just gonna write a custom game server proxy in Rust and be happy without it. Oh yeah, so you'd have a single Envoy proxy and to check where the traffic is coming from, and have a type of map to know which server to point it through internally. So that's kind of what I want to do. Really, what I want to do is I want to put a player token. In my ideal world is what I want to have is actually let's just grab a new tab in here, right? So I would have like this is my UDP basically. Okay, so let's talk through this because this is an interesting point, and I totally see where you're coming from, right? So we're gonna draw some bad ASCII art. So. Here we have Envoy, right? And it's going to route to a game server, right? And potentially route to any number of these game servers, right? So bad ASCII art, right? And that's right, and that's cool. So there's a couple of ways that we could do this, and probably actually supporting both would be good. So what Luna's saying in chat is, how do we know where this traffic's coming in from and which game server it should go to? So we know somewhere in our system like which user's in what. And there are a couple of ways we could do it. One, which is we could map IP and port of the sender to a game server, right? And that's actually, you know what? That's not bad. It's not bad. As traffic comes in, or hash similar. As traffic comes in, we pre-map it to a game server or to the IP and port a game server. I don't mind this. In fact, actually, it's very much what. Where are we? Not getting started. Configuration reference, listeners, UDP listeners. This is very much like what Envoy does now. So if we have a look here, right? So this is you covered this a little early in the week, but it's actually really interesting. So when a new session is created, Envoy will associate a session with an upstream host selected using. No, that's not what I want. Where's the bit I want? Okay. Basically, it keeps a session. Here we go. Envoy must keep a track of a client session, such as the response diagrams. The upstream server can be routed back. So each session is identified by a for tuple consisting of the source IP and port and local IP port the datagram is received on. Right, and then basically it's kept around until it's idle time. So if there's, I'm just reading this. the way I see this method working, they would connect to a mapper before connecting out to a real server. The mapper would be the one to receive the token and save the mapping somewhere for Envoy to pick up. That way you don't need to change every packet in Unity or UE4 for the game server. Yeah, so this is 100% right. And this is actually, you know what? And the more we talk about this, I think we should actually support both because I want both. Because I don't... I have concerns about map of IP import from senders, like with NAT traversal and some stuff like that kind of freaks me out a little. Also, if people happen to just change networks randomly, like then suddenly you're stuck. So there's some stuff there that I'm not 100% okay on, but it's still not, this is not like a terrible way of doing it, right? So as we need to pre-map it to the IP import of the server, right? So if there's some way we can do this. Now, the interesting thing is I'm fairly sure, so what I'm looking for, I'm fairly sure the HTTP filters do something similar here, in that, where are we? HTTP, yeah, come here. Get rid of all this stuff. There is a thing, actually, if we look at load balancers, here we go. Load balancing. Here we go. So they do a ring hash. So they do have, there is a ring hash, what's the word I'm looking for? A ring hash load balancing, and I'm fairly sure, at least for HTTP load balancing, yeah, like Luna saying exactly, like, yeah, HTTP headers can do this by looking at HTTP headers by default. Yeah, so like then, and this actually works really nicely. So you can actually pre-allocate or on the request allocate, which we can't really do because UDP doesn't have headers, and that's a whole pain. But yeah, that's something every so often I'm like, does UDP have headers? And I'm like, no, and that's sad. So we need something that would have to pre-map this, which is like not ideal. So there's a map of IP import to sender, but like so it's kind of interesting. Yeah, so we would need some sort of pre-map, and then you could do that. And so if somebody changed network, you would need to pick that up in the client, and then somehow send that information back to the server. There is work you would need to do on the client to do that. The way I like it is and this does involve more work at the network filter layer for your client. So you need to, like, if you're using Unity or Unreal, you need to inspect each packet and change it. I think in Unreal it's a lot easier than it is in Unity, because I know people who do stuff like this for the plugins. I haven't tried it myself. And I have some other thoughts on how you could potentially do this, which is like put an Envoy thing in front of it on the client side, which would be kind of cool, but has some other concerns about like how you do this on consoles, for example. But so like the other thought I have is have a player token the end of each UDP packet. I don't know what my dog's doing. So your UDP packet would look something like this, right? This is all your bytes, game bytes, and then here you have like U7Y4, right? And that's this here's your player token, right? And why end instead of start? Okay, that's actually a really good question too. I would put it at the end because it means then that none of the order of this bit changes. So if you're like, I know that like byte 0 is always going to be like this, like byte 0 through 10 is this, and then 10 through 15 is this, and then 15 through 20 is this. We're not changing any of the order of your packet. And we can, like we're only going to put stuff at the end. Now, that being said, Envoy could actually strip this off as well, either if it was prepended or appended. We could do that inside Envoy, and I would actually say, like, as a configuration option, if we did this inside Envoy, we should support both. I think that also makes sense because then you can just do what you want. But I think, yeah, putting it at the end, I think makes the most sense, at least in theory. It's where I would put it because it's like the least chance of it mucking things up. And again, we would need some system to tell Envoy, hey, this player token maps to this item in a cluster. Like we would need something to do that, and we could remove it too. Yeah, so like the thing that freaks me out about like map and IP import is also removals. It's much easier to be like, this player token no longer has access because they're doing cheating or something like that. If I get rid of an IP import, and somebody happens to go back to it, maybe I've banned that player token, then like that gets tricky. So this is another interesting point. So Luna brings up an extra point. You can avoid a mapping if you put a server token there instead of a player token. So that's another interesting thing, right? Like if we could also be, we could do it this way. We could have a server token at the end of each UDP packet where it's game server 1, right? And that tells the system, go to this game server. I don't like this either. Reason I don't like this is because I want to control if a specific player has access to any game server or a specific game server. This feels like it's open for abuse, right? Like the thing I want to do here is I want to be very controlled about who has access to what. Now this here could be a hash. It could be something that's really hard to guess. But yeah, Envoy could validate. That's true. Then we get back to IPs and ports, and like, if people start reusing IPs and ports, then like suddenly you're like, oh, this person can't get in because reasons we don't know why. It just feels really like kind of scary to me. We may end up blocking IPs and ports. I don't know. I'd much rather just be like, I'm giving you a token for today, or even maybe for probably for today, actually, to be honest. Like your client starts up, you get an individual token, and like I'm like, that's your token now. That's your, like this is your short-lived token for today. I can either just like lock you all out and like you're done, and it's associated with your account or whatever, right? Like I have a lot of control. No matter what network you go to, you can't just be like, I'm gonna go into my mobile and now play a game again. Like there's like that. This feels like the most, if you're going to go to all this work to put stuff at the end of a UDP packet, this would be like, then like go down this route. Yeah, that's the way I've been thinking about it. I haven't done this in anger, so like like these are just the thoughts that I have. Feel free to definitely please, like I really enjoy like having the conversation. Trying to work through it. This is sort of some conversations I've had with a bunch of people as well that have. I'm actually gonna save this. It's actually really nice. Diagram. Oh, and I can't spell. That's fine. This is some of the thoughts I've been bounced off some people. These are all good ideas though. Like, and I think long term, like we should support all of these in some way, shape, or form. I think. Yeah, exactly. And if you have any sort of matchmaking, you plugins do that too. So yeah, exactly. So my thinking is that this part would be controlled by your matchmaker, right? Your matchmaker is like you have a player token. Once you've been match made, like you're like, cool, I know which game server you are, so I can go tell Envoy now that you're allowed access, and you can come in. So that would be just like your really nice flow. And then you'd also have a system, right? Like I'm sure your game server then is just like, if your game server shuts down, like his game server plays finished, or is he probably aware of when your players disconnect and they're like, done, I'm out, or have identified other types of things. Maybe players have done something weird that they shouldn't have done, or they're cheating in some way. They can tell Envoy then as well, like, hey, this player's not allowed to access anything anymore. It's also, I really like that. The other thing, what was I going to say? I was going to say something interesting. The other thing, what was the other thing I was going to say? Yeah, I don't know. Actually, I don't know. I was thinking about some sort of potential DDoS type scenarios as well. Was like, yeah. So yeah, Yeah, so like Luna says in chat, like as this also lets you put game servers on private clusters without public IPs. Yeah, exactly. This is exactly the point of what it is that I'm trying to do, which is not for like attack surface. Yeah, 100%. You're only exposing Envoy. You could also do nice stuff if you want to start. Like we could actually put like the crypto stuff here as well and keep it out of the game server. If you want to encrypt your packets and how you want to encrypt them. All sorts of nice stuff you can do inside here as well, right? You can really just start to separate this out. You can do stuff like if you start getting DDoS on a particular Envoy proxy, you can just like chuck that off to the side and let that just like be the thing over there. Could you put a Google Cloud load balancer in front of Envoy? Do they support UDP? They do not. Yes, they do not support those. Our UDP story is not the best. I will own up to that. That is a thing that we do not do particularly well. Come talk to me offline if you want to talk more about that. That's a fun thing about Google Cloud. Yes, but this is something I'm really interested in. I think there's so many neat things you can do as well. Like the idea that the architecture I would like to see is like a client knows about say like 3 proxies and just round robins its traffic between those 3 proxies, and those proxies can get that, and then you could drop proxies. And just like if the client has a regular, like maybe every minute, it like picks up a couple more, like it just goes and refreshes from somewhere or something like that. Maybe there's a signed URL, I don't know, something like that. You could do some things where like, yeah, if one proxy is getting DDoS, you could shift that off to the side to just manage all that traffic. And like the majority of the traffic's not going to get shut down. You can't individually DDoS a single game server. You have to hit all the proxies at once, which is a lot more traffic. And it's easy enough to replace proxies with other proxies. And just let that information come out to other players, so you can come back up a lot faster too. So there's lots of really cool stuff I like about this kind of proxy setup. That's really neat. So okay, so this is like a bunch of actually really interesting ideas on how we can do this. The question is like, can we do this with Envoy? And I think the answer is going to be no, at least right now. But let's see what's possible. It sounds, Luna, actually like you've played with Envoy a whole lot more than I have. So you may actually have much better ideas. The thing that I got excited about when I was looking at cluster configuration, load balancing, here we go. What was I looking at? Because, actually, I'll come back to this. So if we go back into our listeners, we're looking at UDP proxy, UDP proxy listener filter. That's fine. 124 per Envoy proxy is like more than enough. There's nothing in here. So we have the clusters. We have this load balance policy, which I think is right now the second you can do the mapper approach. I think this right now. I actually don't think you. Well. What I think you can do right now is create an individual listener to an individual cluster. I think that's the only thing you can do right now, which is kind of yuck. And there's nothing, I think, and all it really does right now is forward. So what I want to see is like, is there ways that we can extend this? Like, you know, if I'm going to start writing Envoy, let's start writing Envoy. Let's do that. You know, if I want to help with this stuff, I'm happy to help with this stuff. There was something though that I wanted to do. Okay, so I have some basic load balancing. There was something that I wanted to look at that I thought looked interesting. Maybe advanced. Nope. Yeah. I expected more even for alpha. It's super alpha. It's super alpha. It is not. That's not what I wanted. It is super alpha. Yeah. So I'm like, okay. So if we wanted to write our own filters or like add filters to this, like what is it going to look like? The thing I wanted to look at, and I'm going to see if I can find it again. So actually, you know what? Let's go back to here you go, API. That'll do. V2 API reference. Is that what I want? Clusters, yes. Cluster. LB policy, I think is what we're looking at. There we go. LB policy, yes. LB policy, cluster LB policy. Here we go. So this is what got me interested. And I was like, okay, so there's round robin, least request, ring hash, random, original DST. So if we could do some kind of header or something like, I mean, we can't do a header in UDP, but if we had like something similar to what you were talking about here before, where we like the game server was known, we could use the ring hash at least to do like server token. Not terrible, not ideal, but that's fine. Original DST. I looked at this. Okay. Oh, sorry. That's they can use it original. X Envoy original DST host. Okay. So, okay, well, we can't do that with HTTP, so that doesn't help us at all. Cluster provided. That was the thing I wanted to see. I was like, what is that? I want to understand what that does. Because there's about a bunch of other cool stuff we could do here that I'd really like to see, like forwarding, just like a straight forwarding rule, where it's forwarded to one or many, right? Like sometimes I don't want to do a load balancer. Sometimes what I want to do is actually just take all the UDP packets and send them to 17 different places. So, okay, so this all looks kind of like nothing special. Dynamic forward proxy. Is that what we want? I mean, that's not what I actually want. Offering protection rally, blah, blah, blah. So like with a forward proxy, for argument's sake, cluster provided. Interesting. Envoy to clusters dynamic proxy forward. Okay, interesting. Actually, so there must be a particular type. So what is this? Okay, this is. I'm just letting see if there's an example here that. Yeah, I can imagine a lot of fun stuff with A/B testing with that. Yeah, also just like peer-to-peer networks. You know, you connect to an Envoy proxy. You could just use an Envoy proxy as a peer-to-peer server that just routes, right? Here, like you just spin up Envoy for an individual game session that just knows about all the people it should send data to, and it just sends it to them. You know, all the UDP packets go to everyone, and then you just sort your stuff out from there. You do lots of neat stuff. Yeah, there's so many things you could do. It'd be nice if Envoy supported it, which would be good. All right, so too less context. Okay, dynamic. So there is like a straight. Actually, getting started. We do this with a quick start run. Yeah, simple configuration. Beautiful. Here we go. Now this is just doing a straightforward. This is the actually, if you haven't played with this, this is the simple configuration that you get out of the box that takes all traffic and reroutes it to Google search engine. Okay, so the connection manager. This is what I was trying to. Okay, so it's literally just a connection forwarder where we do some host rewriting and stuff with the virtual host. Okay, all right, got it. Okay, I was wondering if that was that, but there's dynamic forward proxy, and I think that's the only one I can see in here that actually does this. Unless we search inside the docs. Aggregate cluster is used for failover between clusters of different configuration. That doesn't really help me. Clusters aggregate LB policy. Cluster config. Okay. Oh, I see. So like it goes from one and then it falls back to the other. It's used for failover between clusters. Okay. Okay. Because Envoy does health checking, and so it can go from one to the next. Interesting. Okay. So I'm guessing then that some of these, there's something in some kind of cluster config type thing that we can set up. There's the capability inside Envoy with enough custom code to do the things that we want to do. I guess that's kind of the thing. Okay. All right. So, extending Envoy for custom use cases. I think this is where we're essentially going to end up. The Envoy architecture makes it fairly extensible via a variety of different extension types, including access logger, log filters, clusters, listener filters, blah, 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 blah. All right, and this is all just links to itself. As of writing, there is no high-level extension developer documentation. Oh, good. Envoy filter example. Okay. Example of consuming Envoy and adding a custom filter. Holy stuff. Demonstrates the linking of additional filters with the Envoy binary. Wow. Well, at least like this exists. Like I'm not going to complain. I don't want to do. Okay, so that's like. Man. All right. That's what I dislike about Envoy. Yeah, it's good. I think Envoy is good if like we went through this before. Like some of the HTTP docs, especially, are just like there's a lot of assumed knowledge in places. Envoy is not the most extensible thing in the world. Okay. All right. So the other thing, GitHub Envoy that I want to see is, are there like working groups? I know there's Slack and stuff. Blog about hot restart. Oh, that's interesting. Void dev, nice. Void meh. We may end up here. Contributing guide. Developer guide. Developer support toolchain. Okay. Yeah, so if I go to issues, I just want to see what's going on. UDP. I just want to see what the status of UDP stuff is like. Please just GitHub Slack email. Make sure no one else doesn't work on it. I'm going to GitHub issue. Yup, that'll make sense. Goals are added a new extension, which it would be. Please read the extension policy. What's the extension policy? It's cutting a release. Oh, good. There's nothing here that actually has an extension policy. All right, so I'm not going to worry about it because there isn't one. Coding style has a style.md. Break and change policy. That makes sense as well. Release cadence, submitting a PR. Fork to repo. Runtime guarding. Okay, sign your work. Blah, blah, blah. Building and running tests. Using the Bazel fast build type. Okay. That's right. Envoy builds. All right. Building and running tests. All right. So there's probably like a whole tool chain here. Developer documentation. General build. Building and testing Envoy. Oh my god. Yeah. Managing build files. Okay. Yep. Envoy filter example project. I feel like this might be the place to start, but I just want to see if there's like a working group or something for UDP stuff. All right, so where are we on the UDP side of things? None of this is particularly. What is this? UNSP DNS server. I want to see if anyone's. Okay, so there's not a huge amount that's open. Where are we? No, whatever. Don't care. Receivers this feature requests for Envoy as a DNS server. Yeah, this is stuff I don't care about. Yeah, so where is UDP stuff tracked? This is probably a big question. Okay. Don't care about any of this. All right. So basically, that's the roadmap, but it's been closed. You complete MVP. All right, that's fine. Trying to work this out. I forgot to mention, shall we merge the yes? Blah, blah, blah. Don't care. Who actually did this work, out of curiosity? Yeah, Matt did. Okay. Yeah, me writing C++ is going to be like hysterical. Network filters need a use case. Yeah, I really don't want to write a UDP proxy for game servers with all the things I want in it, but I really want to just use Envoy and let everyone else do the work. But I thought about writing one for a really long time, and I would write it in Rust, and it would be nice. There's a few things missing from the Rust ecosystem, mainly open tracing, that would stop me from doing that. Probably also Lua bindings would be nice too. To be honest, extending Envoy is probably the best way to go. Yeah, no, I agree. Like better to lean on a foundation, right? Okay. So that's not useful. So what it seems like is the best next steps are basically all right. Want to contribute? Yes, I would like to. I would very much like to contribute to Envoy. Yeah. Good first issue. I'm not doing any of that stuff. Let's think about this for a sec. All right. You might have some people who want to work on this at Envoy. That'd be good too. What I'd love to see is like a little. I don't know if Envoy is big enough. Actually, let's have a look. Is there a community? What I'd love to see is if there's a working group on this sort of thing. Or does Envoy have like community meetings? That would also be nice. Envoy perf, Envoy bot, learn Envoy. Artwork, that's not useful. Is there anything about Envoy community? There we go. Hello. General contact information. Bunch of projects working on this. Yeah, good for you. What I really want to see though is more of a like, hey, here's a group of people who are getting together to talk about this particular things. All right. Doesn't seem like there's that. I think the next step is going to be joining Slack and asking a lot of trying very hard not to swear, a whole lot of questions. And then probably stepping through this stuff. What is Basilisk? I'm going to learn a whole bunch of stuff. They do have a Slack. I am not going to join Slack while I'm I'm streaming. I will go do that, ask a whole lot of questions, and come back. A user-friendly launcher for Bazel is a wrapper for Bazel written in Go. It automatically picks a good version of Bazel given your current working directory. Oh, that's really nice. All right, so building requirements, pre-built binaries, which is nice. Modifying Envoy and testing. And your changes when a person uses Doctor. Oh. Using Envoy build with compile Docker. This image of the software. That's actually really handy. I like people that do Docker-based build system. Oh, you want to join the Slack? Yeah, there's totally a Slack. It's getting started. Or instruction. Getting help. Contact info. There we go. So that's the Slack there. I'll put that in chat too. So you get a Slack invite there and that there too. And there's also all the mailing list as well. So they have stuff. All right, it's been an hour. I need to take a short break anyway. I'm guessing a lot of the maintainers are actually probably, what is it, December 26th here in the US. A lot of people are asleep. I need to take a short break, probably eat a little bit of food. It's 11 o'clock here and I'm getting a little peckish. I'm going to go ping Slack, see what the deal is with a bunch of stuff, see what I can find out, and then maybe I'll come back in like an hour and we'll play a bit more. If not, I'll do this a little bit. But at least we got things working with Sonotic, which is good. I'm not going to complain about that. We got some bits and pieces going, and then we have some avenues for next steps. I think for next steps, we'll have a look at the building and installation documentation, see if we can get an environment set up. Potentially, I actually really am interested in, where is it? Not this. Where is it? There's this one, the filter example, building your own filter, giving that a shot. I think that could be really interesting. Might get that set up, see if that can go, getting things set up inside IntelliJ so that we can get Bazel and C++ working, because I've never done that. Actually, it won't be IntelliJ, it'll be C-Lion, I'm on Linux. Kill that. So lots of fun stuff. And we had a good chat about a lot of architecture things too. So not terrible things. In fact, nice things all up. Cool. Follow me here on Twitch at Mark Mandel, on YouTube at Mark S. Mandel, on Twitter at Neurotic. I will post things up when I am looking to stream. And thanks for taking the time to hang out with me for the last hour. I'm going to take a break, probably go ask some questions on Slack and see what we can find out. All right, cool. I will see you all later. Thanks for hanging out with me.